Thank you. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Thank you, Howard, for that meditation. Brought up a couple good experiences I had. You know, that sort of reminds me of the past that we have lived. You know, there's so much information in there to let us know more about ourselves. Some of the experiences that I've gone through, you know, I really don't care to go through them again. But there's some that I really, truly do, and I think of them all the time. Every day I make a point of thinking of something pleasant that happened into my life. And what that does, you know, that draws other, it's like a magnet, you know, that draws other experiences that we have, you know. And there's some experiences that I went through, I didn't realize I was going through them. And they were very positive. I remember one, when I was going through my first marriage, we were breaking up, and I wasn't feeling too good at all, you know. And I was separating things in there, and I come across some pictures. And then I got an award as an athlete back in high school, and I saw that picture, you know, and I felt the achievement of that picture. And so what I do now is that when I look at my goals, I think not of that achievement, but of the feeling of achievement. And that sort of forms things with us, you know. And another experience I had, you know, I didn't think it was too pleasant when I was doing it, you know. My mother and father made me in charge of a garden. You know, that's not very pleasant work, because you got to cultivate, you got to weed, you got to nurture, and all this. You know, it takes backbone to do that. You know, and everything. But gardening is one of the most ideal experiences of a metaphysician. It tells you exactly what natural law is. Because when you plant the seed, you put it into the ground, and you don't see anything happening. But that's the most dynamic part of change that's going on in that, you know. And so what do when we think of a goal that we have that we don't have in our life? We want it to be manifested the next day. So what do is what are we doing wrong? Well, you're not doing anything wrong. What you do is you go out there and nurture, you know, and you weed, and you cultivate and everything. And weeding, you know, is one of the most difficult things to do. Because the weeds in our life are actually people. And to weed people out in your life is not very pleasant, because there's some things you have very strong attractions to. And so, and I also find that some of the feelings that I have when I meet with people, you know, are not very pleasant. They remind me of some of the people that I went through those experiences that were unpleasant. And so, when I come across them, you know, I say, "Oh, I've known you before, but your name was so and so. Well, I'll go on. I'll catch you later on." You know? And so I want to find other places to go that would be more happier for me. You know, and you know, the things that I have to give to you, you know, are experiences that I've had. You know, and 48 years ago, I came to this chapel. Actually. It'll be July 10th was my first time here in 1970. And I got a little book in there with my signature on there to prove it. And some people say, "Well, I don't believe that," you know. So I showed them it. You know, but that person that I came in there, I didn't realize I had a foundation that would help me to do what I'm going to do here today, and everything. And the very first development class I went to, I was actually sitting up here, and my whole body went like this. I couldn't stop it. When I got to the parallel to the ground, then it went the other way. I couldn't stop it. I said, "Well, I want to know more about this." And that's when I met my teacher, Dr. Beck. And he's been teaching me for the last 48 years. And at first, you know, I didn't recognize what Dr. Beck was. You know, I didn't really believe in the continuity of life. my mother was a spiritualist. She went when my grandfather died. My grandmother wanted to go to the spiritualist meetings so he could talk to my grandfather and everything. And so my mother would take her to these, and she met a materializing medium that she got very friendly with, and my mother drove that medium all over the state of New York and everything. And so she took me to a meeting one time, and this guy said I had all these things to do. It was like when I first came in here, they were saying, "Oh, you can do this, and you can do that, and you can do this," and I thought these people were really off the rocker, and because nothing was happening. I was coming to development class, and I couldn't sense any. These things that they say I was able to do, I couldn't sense it, And then one night in class, I closed my eyes and I would see all these little images and lights change when people were talking. Well, when I was in 1956, I lived on a farm, and we were playing keep away with a rag football. And my father, he was about 6'1", 300 pounds. He went like this and hit me right here. And you know how the sparklers are on the 4th of July? That's what I saw. And every time I would close my eyes, I would see sparklers, And so I noticed that night that when I closed my eyes, these people were talking, things started changing, and I started talking about them, and the people knew what I was talking about. And I didn't know a darn thing what I was talking about. So this helped me to this. Now, when I close my eyes, I still see those things, And it's been amazing for the 48 years that it's still happening. And I tell people, is that you're not going to lose that energy that's going to be in there. It's unknown, and there's times when I give messages and I say, "What in the world are you talking about?" And I just shake my head, and then they come up afterwards, "Oh, you hit the nail on the head." Well, if they knew what kind of carpenter I was, they wouldn't say that. Because I can't hit the nail on the head as a carpenter and everything. But the development that I have gone through in the last 48 years, and I keep on getting these messages that I got new things to do and everything like this, And in 1995, we created a metaphysical principles course. And in 2000, I created Going Through the Sun. And then in 2015, I put the third level of universal metaphysics together. And I said, "What more do you want me to do?" And he said, "Well, we got a nice list for you, like we did in 1970. You're just going to keep on doing that, And I said, "Okay. It worked before. I thought, no, I know it's going to work again." And everything. And so every time I do a class or anything like this, I want to do something different than I did before. I want to say something different than I said before. And sometimes I don't think I'm doing that, And so I get a little bit difficulty with myself and all this on this, And then I'm able to replay what was going on there. So I never said that before. And so I had to look at that because that's something different, and it's something that I can concentrate on to concentrate on more too. If I don't know what I'm saying, it's time for me to know what I'm saying. And the energy of the spirit world is so strong and powerful. Some of the benefits of being a spiritualist, is that we don't have to really be concerned about this thing called death, because we don't ever die. We just change. And every time you see in your dreams someone dying or something, they're not dying, they're changing. And there's a possibility that you're changing. We jump right into the cliff, and we find out we're only 2 feet in that cliff. And everything, that reminds me of another thing. When I was about 6 years old, I lived in upstate New York in the Finger Lakes area, and they had this lake in there called Skinny Atlas. The name they got that was this fat Indian started rolling down the hill, and she got up and said, "Skinny at last." I don't know if that was true or not. And so I was pushed. It was a wall, and I was pushed into the water. And I was screaming and everything like this. And then when I got done screaming, I found out that the water was up to my knees. But that had an effect on me because I never did learn to swim too well, so I stayed away from water. I would watch it, but I wouldn't get in there. But so the gist of today, I want you to know that you have experiences in your life that are benefit to you today. One of the benefits is how you learn things. Everyone has a different way of learning, and I was really confused at times because I would think things backwards than what was taught to me, you know. Then when I found out that they were starting to work and everything like this, I started doing things backwards. And I didn't find out until I got out here that I was born that way. I was upside down and backwards. I had these 2 marks right here where they come in, you know, those things and turn them around and bring it out. And so I started believing I could do things backwards, and I did it. And I found that I did things in my life that were backwards. And what that did to me is that I don't have to accept what people say that it is real and it is true. If I feel that there's something a little bit more than there, I can go beyond and find that because it's within each and every one of you. And I want to end this day, you know, is that all the knowledge in the world is inside you. And when you start looking for it outside you, you break a link that is very strong within you. So the next time you want to call for God, don't say, "Come on in, God." I said, "Come on out." Bless you.